Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Randy Lovelace with Paragon Independent Insurance, and I'm here on location by the magic of Zoom with Gene Radach with Angel Reach. Now, if you haven't heard about this organization, you need to find out a lot about it because it's so special. We all have friends or acquaintances or family members that know of the foster system for children, and this is an organization that typically works with foster kids or in the foster system, some that have aged out of the system. They've got a lot of information as far as how help these kids, kind of a hand up and to keep on going and developing as young adults. But I'm going to turn this over to Jean, and because she's the expert, she's going to tell us all about Angel Reach, what they do, and how the community can rally together to help them out. So, Jean, welcome.
Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with Hello Woodlands. A big part of my job is to make sure the community is aware of um, areas that really struggle, and areas that we as a community can pull together and really help. And Angel Reach, just to give you a little bit of history, started we became an official 501c3 nonprofit organization back in 2008. And it started actually in the garage of the founder, who was a kinship um, grandma. She was a foster mom, an adoptive mom. She had her own kids. So she was kind of involved in everything and needed some help herself. So kind of rallied around people who were in the same situation as she was. And they pulled together basic needs that everybody could help each other with, like food and clothing and furniture and new beds, as as a kinship, family quite often. And that's really what we got started out as. Um, you need beds. All of a sudden, you have children who are now living with you that you weren't expecting, and they need beds. So where do you get those, right? So, but let me step back for a minute and address, what is a kinship family, right? Many of you probably don't know what a kinship family is. That's a question that always comes up. When a child is removed from the home by CPS, typically the first call that is made is to the next of kin. And that's where that name comes from. It's the next of kin. It could be grandma and grandpa. It could be aunts and uncles. It could even be, a very close family friend or neighbor that's been very involved with the family and who would be a good option to raise that child. And as you can imagine, if you're grandma and grandpa, you're probably not going to say no unless there's an absolute, reason where you can't, because it's an emergency situation. So that's how Angel Reach got started in helping those families. Kinship now consists of shared treasures. We have, which is a clothing. We have a food pantry. We also have Angel's Loft, which is a furniture store which provides furniture and things that the kinship families need. So,
Is the loft strictly furniture?
the Angel's Loft is strictly furniture. Shared
Okay,
Treasures is the clothing piece,
gotcha.
and then the food pantry obviously is the food. So yes, and then in addition for kinship, we provide all kinds of um, caregiver support groups. We do tutoring. We also, once the younger, as the kids get older, they can be transitioned over to our transitional living program where they can get help with finding a job, figuring out, what they want to do when they grow up, and they can get involved with our education coordinator, and they can help them, with um, finding a school they want to go to or enrolling in Lone Star College, and also helping them with, filling out the FAFSA, scholarships, all of that. Um, so that's how we got started. That was, actually it started back in the garage in 2004. We became a 501c3, 2008, and then 2011, we're thinking, oh my gosh, there's all these kids that are aging out of the foster care system. there's got to be a way that we can help them. So, our program was pretty slow in growing. We were supported 100% by volunteers. Even even our director was not paid at that time. So, as it's evolved and grown, housing was the first thing that we started to provide, and we now have a housing program that is a three-level tiered level program. You start at level 1, and as you begin to progress, as the young person begins to progress and get a job and get enrolled in school, get transportation, etc., they move up into the levels, and we are working with them very, very closely on their emotional stability, because most of these kids have suffered some kind of trauma. That's a really, really important piece of what we do, is the counseling piece. Also, we do case management, and that's a part of our community youth outreach program, because we want to make sure we catch these kids before they end up homeless, right? So we're reaching out into the community to find these kids.
I think you'd have a waiting list.
We do. We do have a waiting list. Absolutely. And I don't know if you all know, the school district has identified, and this was back in March, so the numbers are probably lower than what reality is, but they identified 700, and I think the number 732 kids were identified as being homeless in CISD.
I knew there were a lot, but didn't know that many.
Right, right. And another statistic is that there's 6 children that go into CPS every week in Montgomery County. So it's, those are pretty rough statistics. And, another reason why we got involved with the transitional living program was because of the statistics. About half of them end up homeless. About 27%, give or take, end up incarcerated. And then about 55% will end up seriously addicted to something, right? And about, I don't know, 2/3 of the population, the females, will end up pregnant before they turn 21. Well, and guess what? A good chunk of their kids will end up back in the CPS system. So that's our goal, right? Is to break that generational cycle. And we feel, I am very hopeful with the kids that we work with. They are amazing. They are no different than your kids or mine. They just haven't had the support. When they've come to us, they're pretty lost. They've struggled. They're distrustful. They don't know who to believe. So, that's where we start, in building that trust, providing them their basic needs, and then working them through our Angel Reach program so that they can become successful. We do provide the transportation, which is very, very expensive, but they can't do anything without transportation, right? In fact, that's how I got involved with Angel Reach 9 years ago. I was a volunteer, and I came up 2 days a week and provided transportation for the kids. I'd take them to job interviews. I'd take them to the grocery store. I'd take them to doctor's appointments, whatever they needed. That's how we worked,
So I would think you would need a lot of those, a lot of people for transportation.
We did. We would have at least 2 people, like, every shift, which was a morning or an afternoon. So we had a lot, and we still do have a lot of volunteers involved, but now we do pay for our staff, we have transportation staff that do that for us. But it's very, very expensive. It's one thing we're always constantly trying to figure out how we can do better. Let's see what else. So we have it's the 3 programs: community youth outreach, I mentioned that, the transitional living program, and then the kinship. So those are the 3 kind of legs of the stool that we have, and that we support. We've got a program called Always Pursue. It's a graduation ceremony. It's going to be held this Sunday. We're very excited about it. At first, we were very, very sad because we thought it wasn't going to happen. But what it is, it's 50% of those kids